Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Food School Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast. This intro for this podcast is being recorded in Helsinki, in Finland, where I am for biohacking, where I came for biohacking conference. And no, it's not some hiking conference as they asked me on the border, on the passport control. It's the conference about biohacking. It's actually a word that you can Google and that is in the dictionaries as of, I believe, 2018. Biohacking is modifying your environment to change, control, and design your biology. Basically, how you feel, how you look, how you perform on all levels. And by environment, I don't just mean some, trees around you. Or environment in a bigger sense. I mean everything that you surround yourself with, books you read, music you listen, a light environment, like how much you expose yourself to daylight or junk light. Yes, there is such a thing as junk light. So anyhow, I'm in Finland. I'm going to be learning a lot over the next 3 days. So stay tuned on my Instagram, especially. That's where I record a lot of small stories and interesting pieces of information. So stay tuned for that on Instagram, and the link you can find in the show notes. But today's episode actually also really exciting. It was pre-recorded some time ago, and this podcast is with a guest. The guest's name is Matt Wright, founder, food and nutrition researcher. At some point, maybe a couple of months ago, maybe even half a year ago, I got really obsessed with this website, checkmyfood.com, because from what I've learned and what I discovered, it has the most precise and well-designed database of different foods and different micronutrients in those foods. And also there are recipes and infographics that help you to understand why this specific vitamin or mineral is important, and why you should be really thinking about what kind of micronutrients or vitamins and minerals you do consume. So it's not just fats and proteins and carbs that are important, not at all actually. Micronutrients are hugely important, and your body can they can make your body work either really well or really not well. Besides that, micronutrients are essential part of the foods we eat. And food, as we discuss with Matt on the podcast, is information that sends messages inside your body to different cells of your body, and helps your body, participates in reorganizing your body, in healing. Like your body every day is healing yourself, is recovering, restoring, rebuilding trillions of cells. And for all of that, you not just need macronutrients, your fats, your proteins, your carbohydrates, you also need micronutrients, and those are essential for life. If you don't get them, you're gonna get sick, you're gonna die, and everything and anything in between. So services like checkmyfood.com help us to understand better what our food brings to the table, what kind of health benefits we can accept from different kinds of foods. Food is not just energy. It's stuff that makes you. It's stuff that affects every single biological process in your body, how you feel emotionally and physically, how much energy you have. Food affects us on every single level. It's the stuff that we are literally made of. And a lot of you guys might think, or what I find around me when I talk to people, is people believe in the power of drugs to change your health. But drugs you take occasionally, and a lot of them have side effects, and you take them in micrograms or milligrams. Food you take in pounds, and it builds every single cell of you. Drugs do not do that. And so what are you built of? So we are talking a lot about that on our podcast, about different foods, super nutritious foods that you probably want to eat more often. We talk why we as society don't pay that much attention to micronutrients, vitamins and minerals, and barely anyone is aware of where they are getting their nutrients and whether they're getting enough or what they need them for. So we are talking a lot about it, and also about, again, eating the most nutritious foods, eating the most nutritious diets, and how you can heal almost everything and rebuild almost everything with when you change your diet. You can literally change yourself. From my perspective, food is the most powerful self-development, self-improvement tool. So without further ado, tune in to our fascinating conversation with Matt Wright. Very, very impressed by the app that you and your team made. And the reason I wanted, to chat to you on this podcast is I wanted to learn more about, like, why did you decide to create this app, and how did you work on it, and how people can use it also to, to get the most benefits, like how it was intended to be used.
Sure. I mean, it all comes from, we're a web development agency. We have been since the mid-90s. But all my life I've been into nutrition because of something my father did when I was 8 years old. He threw a chicken spit on my plate and said, you wouldn't exist if it wasn't for chicken feet. And then told me the story. In 1929, my dad was born with his identical twin brother in Fulham in London. And in 1930, they both contracted whooping cough, which is a very virulent bacterial infection. And antibiotics didn't exist in those days. Penicillin had only just been discovered. So they were left to die. The doctor just said to my granddad, there's nothing you can do. They couldn't hold any food down. But my granddad was a Billingsgate fishmonger, which is a big fish market in London. And he catered exclusively for the Jewish trade. So he had a mate in the chicken business, a Jewish mate. And he went to him and said, look, is there anything I can give the babies to help them survive, basically? And then his mate said, yeah, sure. Bought him a big bag of chicken's feet and said, boil them down for 24 hours and then let the liquid cool into a jelly, feed that to the babies. And lo and behold, not only did they managed to keep it down, it also enabled them to get over the bacterial infection. And then they went on to, well, one of them went on to be my father, obviously. So, and they both lived into their late 80s. So that left me with an indelible impression.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing story,
Yeah. So from there, I spent all my life, when the internet came along in the mid-90s, I just, pre-Google, those days it was Lycos, I would look up the health benefits of everything, trying to build the database so that I could then share that with my friends or family or the wider thing. So while I was making a living doing websites for TV companies and whatever, I was in the background just Lycosing at first and then eventually Googling. And then I started to realise that the more information I gathered, the more flaky it seemed to be, and the more hearsay and misinformation I seemed to be amassing. So sometimes you might Google the health benefits of onions, and it says that it'll cure anything from asthma to cancer. You're like, hang on a minute, where's the science? Where's the evidence base for this? So while we were working, we were running a web development agency, I ran off on a science research trip, really, to come across the world's nutritional science. And I came across things like the Lance Pauling Institute, which is a Centre for Micronutrition, Vitamin and Mineral Phytochemical Research. Started to find out really what the evidence-based health benefits of micronutrients in particular were. Once we've done that, we thought, I wonder if there's any analysis of food. And then found out that both the US and the UK and some other European countries have been doing food analysis since the 1940s. That's the analysis of a carrot or every single ingredient you can think of, really, for its vitamin and mineral content. So we thought, well, why don't we put the two together in an algorithm and juxtapose the world's nutritional science, the world's food composition data, and then add in recommended daily amounts. The recommended daily amounts have been around since 1941, and they tell you how much an advisable amount to get. You can always go over, you may be able to go a little under, of vitamins and minerals. So we juxtaposed all of that together and turned it into a website which is called checkyourfood.com. And that's really for anyone in the world, whoever uses one over the world, to engage with and find out the full nutritional content and the full power of their food, the magic of their food, if you like, the genius of it. and go from there. They can go in depth, they can track their full nutrient intake, they can analyse recipes, they can create menu plans, etc. But we wanted to make nutritional information accessible to all and kind of a bit more exciting than the way it's normally presented, so that people could really enhance their diets, take control of their health and well-being through the astute use of ordinary food. You don't have to live on goji berries and expensive health foods. You can eat tinned fish, and there's all kinds of amazingly cheap. Now, I bought a carrot on the way to work today for 11 pence, which I had with my egg mayonnaise mix-up. It's ordinary food. It's not necessarily exceptional. Camu or Kakadu plums and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think every area like in the world has the foods full of micronutrients.
Yeah.
But we tend to kind of go to some superfood instead of exploring our local foods.
Yes, exactly. We go to the Amazon basin for a camu plant rather than looking down the road at our local farm.
Yeah. You've done quite an amazing job. Again, in my opinion, this is like the best service when it comes to analyzing nutritional content of our foods. And I've been using it for quite a while. I wanted to ask you, why do you think people don't pay that much attention to micronutrients? Like, most people don't, know what kind of micronutrients they're eating in their foods and what most of those micronutrients are for.
I think it's the same symptoms why people don't exercise. It's a disconnection from our bodies, if you like, from our taking control of our own health. I think it's symptomatic of we rely on external doctors or medication or whatever when we have a problem. And it's a different mindset to come to where you think, well, actually, why don't I just look after my health now and look after my health in the future by eating properly and exercising properly. So I think it stems from that. I think it stems from over-dependence in our country on general practitioners. They'll fix me when something goes wrong. I'll get given a pill. And therefore, we don't take any interest in what's in that tin of sardines. It's not just food is not just about flavour. Flavour is, I think, is secondary to what the instructions that are contained in that food. If you look at food as just a source of energy, then you'll just eat anything. When you get hungry, you'll eat, etc. If you look at food as information that contains instructions that affect every biological function of your body, your whole life, all your life support systems, your cellular regeneration, etc., you'll begin to see it as the stuff that controls everything. You begin to value it more, and you begin to be more interested in what's in it. What's the chemistry, what chemicals are in it, and what do those chemicals do for you? What's the biology? And that's really the journey we've been on as a team. And we're trying to take, if other people, it's not compulsory, we're trying to enable other people if they want to come on that journey. Because once you get into the magic, I call it the magic of food or the genius of ordinary food, it does enhance your life. It really makes you feel happier. It makes you feel more connected. It makes you take more of an interest in how your body's functioning, and that kind of leads you into the right kind of exercise regimen as well. And then general lifestyle, make you more relaxed, your health improves, your immune system reacts more quickly, you adapt to your immune system. And we've had cases of people that actually have had eyebrows growing back after years. My eyesight has improved in the last 10 years rather than deteriorating. When I was 10, 11 years ago, I was wearing +2 reading glasses. I now wear +1 11 years later. I've done nothing, I haven't had laser treatment or anything, I've just done nothing but just eat properly. So there, you get really powerful results. People doing conditions, we've got users that can only eat through a tube, for example, one of our users, so she now knows how to mix all her food to get the perfect balance for her. People with allergies or who want to have fairly restricted diets, if they've got phenylketonuria, which is a reaction to a certain amino acid, they can just check which foods have the right nutrients in for them. They can avoid certain foods but still get all their nutritional balance. And really, it's a gateway to health and happiness, health, strength, and happiness.
I totally agree with you. But I'm also curious. Why do you think people pay more attention to macronutrients instead of micronutrients? Like, you can find all kinds of diet, changing the amount of carbs and proteins and fat.
Yeah.
But you don't really find a lot of diets focusing on micronutrients.
I think again that's education, because we've had this carbs, fat, and the anti-fat brigade has been around for 50 years. The pro-protein, we work with food professionals in this country about the legitimate health claims they can make on their food, like food producers, and they always want to go for the high in protein claim. And I'm like, well, no one in the West has too little protein. Most of us have too much, which has to be processed. Protein, when you have too much of it, has to be processed by your kidneys. Let's not focus on macros, but I think it comes from education and from the press. The press are always banging on about the carb-free diet of this, the high-protein diet, the high-fat diet, the low-fat diet, etc. And no one really mentions, it's a shame to me that no school child, none of my children were never taught about micronutrients and were never taught about recommended daily amounts. And this is absolutely central to your health going forwards and central to your health as you go into old age, that you do have a nutritious diet. That's why recommended daily amounts were created. They were created in the war by the Americans, actually, by the National Academy of Sciences, for when they liberated countries from German occupation. They knew they'd have a starving population, and they wanted to know how much food to give them to meet those recommended daily amounts. So it's come as a very altruistic motive. It wasn't a commercial motive or a profit motive to create these RDAs or to do the food analysis. It's all free to air. It's all free to the general public, but it's not taught in schools. And the press, are generally disinterested. And I'm getting more attention now from the fringes, So I did a program for Channel 4 the other week on how to lose weight well, losing weight whilst getting all your nutrients, using natural food rather than supplements. And then I did a talk show the other week, which was again it's on the fringes. It is starting to come up. It's not quite a zeitgeist yet, but I have no doubt it is emerging. I mean, people are now familiar with the phrase micronutrient. When I first started this years ago, well, what are you talking about? No one knew what a micronutrient was. So it's happening, and I hope it is happening more in schools. Actually, we work with a primary school, I think, and a couple of secondary schools that are bringing it in our local area. And we also work with the homeless, teaching them how to cook highly nutritious meals to deal with their situation. So the message is getting out there, and then people like yourself obviously pumping the message out. The more the merrier, really.
What also very fascinating for me is people kind of believe in the power of different supplements, but the best supplements come from food.
Yes, I mean, we have a natural supplements section on the site. You have things like acerbic cherry juice, which is the highest vitamin C juice in the world. You could call that a supplement. It's a natural supplement. Cod liver oil, wheat germ oil. These are all natural supplements that we totally understand people might need to use because they can't eat, maybe have eating restrictions or whatever. But yeah, the synthetic created supplements or the mineral supplements, where those minerals come from, they haven't been carefully extracted. They probably come from a leftover mining slag heap in Sheffield or something rather than being clean. And a lot of the vitamins are synthetically generated in factories in China, which is like, well, okay, how does your body know what that is after billions of years of evolution? We evolved with food. We did not evolve. Evolution's cured all the problems we might have with food, the detoxification pathways, the digestive pathways. But there's been no evolution in relation to us in synthetic supplements. So they've been around since the mid-60s. So there's really no evidence for their benefit.
But do you think, compared to food, how a supplement being absorbed, digested, assimilated by our body, are they useful at all, or people just shouldn't use them? I'm talking about pills, not juices and oils.
I mean, I think in extreme situations, in situations of starvation or extreme deficiency syndrome, supplements may be a short-term solution, particularly mineral supplements. Iodized salts have iodine added to it, etc. Can be very, very useful. Then I think the most of the evidence, and again, it's not a huge amount of evidence, because there's not a lot of commercial interest in investigating it, is that long-term use of supplements is at best useless, and at worst actually could be quite damaging, because you're affecting the body's natural systems and the body's natural digestive systems and distribution systems. That food, the body's oriented towards breaking food down and all the buffering that comes. So when you eat a piece of food that's full of micronutrients, you've got carbs, you've got fats, you've got proteins, all buffering the absorption. Because most of these micronutrients, they are toxic in overdose. The body has to process them very, very carefully. So if you're taking a mega dose of ascorbic acid, which is synthetic vitamin C, I know people say it's the same, but it's not. It's a synthetic version. Your body's going, whoa, what's going on here? It's far too much coming at you. So you have to. It's why when you take vitamin supplements, often your pee changes colour, goes bright green or yellow. because all that stuff is having to be catabolized or processed straight through your system to avoid toxification. We've been evolving over millions of years, and our bodies are an amazing self-regenerating, self-repairing mechanism that interacts with food, water, and air. You know what I mean? We're talking just about food. That food is mission critical to sustaining our 96 million cells a minute that regenerate. We have 96 million new cells made every minute. Our heartbeats, our liver function, spleen function, digestive function is all supported primarily by food. Bringing a synthetic in, why it's done in the laboratory, impersonation. What is the point of that? Mm-hmm. Outside of an extreme situation where you've got to, I know in the war there was iron shortage and people actually boiled up rusty nails, and it did work. It did get them over that iron deficiency. So there is a place for it. I'm not sure there's at all a place for some of the synthetic vitamins. I think there is a place, obviously, for B12 mm-hmm. for vegans, and apparently that does. There's differing opinions on that, whether that works long term or not. I always advise. Here in Brighton, we have a vegan farm mm-hmm. that produces animal products, but in a way that the animals lives out its full life in a full free range environment, and they harvest the eggs and the milk. So I encourage vegans to consider that as a source of natural source of B12.
Before I didn't think that much about how when you go on a certain diet, like be that vegan, or a keto or any kind of restrictive diet, how it's not, that you eliminate something possibly unhealthy. We eliminate so many sources of nutrients that a lot of times it's not at all beneficial.
Like if you do a long term, you could start. I know people would go on a long term restricted diet, start to feel weary and fatigued and all the rest of it. And that's probably because your energy producing nutrients, your calories and Q10 nutrients you start to lack. Which again is why we built checkyourfood.com, so people can actually keep a food diary, go on a restricted diet, and still. Mm-hmm. I fast a couple of days a week quite often, but I still keep my nutrient intake right up there. Obviously, a lot of veg and eggs and things like that. So it can be done. You can go on a restricted diet, which you may be doing for. My friend of mine is a professional boxer. He has to lose sometimes a stone in 2 or 3 weeks. That's a heavy ketogenic diet. So he does it, but he makes sure he's got his nutrients. So when it comes to the boxing match, he's got all his energy levels are there. It's not depleted. So we have quite a few people doing that, particularly athletes.
Speaking about different foods, from your own experience, what are the most examples of most nutritious meals that supply as many nutrients as possible? Or you might also name a few foods that you believe are really powerhouses of nutrition.
Yeah, I mean the powerhouse in the veg world is really spinach, because it's vitamin K basically. Because it has so much more than any other green. And also spinach wilts down, so you can get an 80-gram big handful of spinach, say for your kids, and it disappears down to a tablespoon. With my youngest daughter, who wouldn't eat any veg, we used to liquidize it into the gravy. So she had no idea. It was like, just getting this into you. And there are quite a few other veg that are really quite intense. Obviously the carrot and the sweet potato for beta carotene, particularly if you're a vegetarian and you don't get preformed or vegan preformed vitamin A. And a real powerhouse is tinned fish. I mean, it's in this country we have tinned sardines, tinned herring, tinned pilchards, and it's incredibly cheap. So I'm just going to look up some sardines. That's while I'm here. Yeah, tinned brine. So I think they're about 40 pence a tin, and you are basically looking at B12, omega-3, calcium, phosphorus, selenium, niacin. That's all contributing to your immune system, cellular regeneration, energy systems, heart function, brain function, etc. Just in one little tiny tin of fish.
Yeah, I mean, I'm eating one every day, at least one.
Yes, well, I do. Yeah. It's my go-to, backup. I just have tins. Real Top 10 Superfoods. Yeah, there's a blog on the site called the Real Top 10 Superfoods. Mm-hmm. And what we picked there was, we've got chicken livers. You can get organic chicken livers in this country now. A very small portion is so packed with biotin, B12, folate, tin fish, I said, spinach, eggs, obviously. Mm-hmm. And then your nuts, your hazelnuts, your almonds, big power vitamin E. Vitamin E is a difficult vitamin to get your RDA on because it's not that present in that many foods. We like cheese. We're big fans of mature cheese because when cheese is matured, it develops a vitamin called vitamin K2. And now normally you get your K2 from eating greens, and the K1 is synthesized in your intestines to K2. But we've now found out, one, people don't eat enough greens to get the synthesis. And two, we don't know what that percentage is. It used to think it was 50%, but they have no idea now. Whereas you can get preformed vitamin K2 in aged cheese because the propionic bacteria, when it explodes, it generates K2. A bit like it does in your intestine. Same kind of bacteria is in your intestine. So mature cheeses, Emmentaler, Swiss cheeses, and there's some blue cheeses that they're really like off the hook for vitamin K2. And vitamin K2 interacts with it's nine interactions, 3 with artery health, 3 with bone health, and then 3, we don't even know what it is, but you can bet your bottom dollar that'll be mission critical in some way to bodily function. And then what else to go? Red wine. We're big on red wine. It's phytonutrient content. You can get dealcoholized if you're off alcohol. You can get dealcoholized red wine. Still has the same goodness. Sauerkraut. We're quite big on. I make my own sauerkraut.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I have it almost every day too. It's like my
yes, I have breakfast with chili sauce on it. So and again. You can do your own. If you go on checkyourfood.com, you can check your own ingredients highest. If you're looking for potassium, you just enter potassium in the search, and it'll give you all the ingredients and the meals highest. My sort of favourite meals will be something like for massive nutrition, the British roast dinner, obviously, because there's so much veg. And Singapore chili crab, I think, is one of our most nutritious meals on the site because crab, again, it's the whole animal you're eating. You're getting every bit of goodness possible. I don't know what a vegan equivalent of crab is. There's bound to be something.
I think in general, I don't know your opinion, but vegan diet is very hard. It's like hard to get a lot of life essential nutrients, especially fat soluble.
You have to. I mean, you really have to be astute. You can do it. You will have to supplement with B12, or if you're happy with an ethical egg production, you could go that route. You are going to miss vitamin A because people confuse the fact they think, there's vitamin A in carrot. There isn't. There's only beta carotene or carotenes that you have to then convert to vitamin A. And what that ratio is very much debated. So you won't get preformed retinol or vitamin A. That only comes from animal products. And you won't get choline either, or you get very, very little choline.
And also vitamin D, right? I mean, nobody these days, very little percentage of people get their vitamin D from the sun. Most people stay indoors.
Yeah, it's a shame because sun cream is what stops that happening. The minute you put sun cream on, you stop synthesizing vitamin D. And we're covering our children in sun cream before they go out in the sun, rather than giving them 15 minutes. You just need to give a child or an adult 15 minutes on the arms and face 3 times a week between April and October, where I live, will give you enough vitamin D to get you through the whole year. But it's the sun cream that's causing the problem. It's blocking synthesis. There are a lot of vitamin D high foods. I don't know if you do it in your country now, but we get UV treated mushrooms. So what they do is they UV treat portobello and chestnut mushrooms, and they basically generate a huge amount of vitamin D in the same way we do, through the cholesterol in the skin.
What's your take on cod liver? In cod liver?
Cod liver oil, I do use it. I don't take enormous amounts of it because it's very, very packed with vitamin A. But it's pretty good for vitamin D. In the winter, I have the UV treated mushrooms and I have oily fish. So wild salmon is very high in vitamin D because it eats the wild plankton more so than farm salmon. And mackerel and a lot of the oily fish are good. And if you're vegetarian, the UV mushrooms are a great source. Or there is, we've recently discovered, and I checked them out, a vitamin D supplement. It's on the website called VitaShine, and it's a vitamin D3 supplement, completely natural, taken from lichen. Yeah, I went to the company, I got their evidence, I got their science, I got the test results, because I didn't quite believe it, because it's vitamin D3 rather than D2. But yeah, that's another one we also recommend to people, especially now as we're going towards winter. In this country, the sun, you won't starting synthesizing vitamin T now for probably till April or May. And I imagine where you are is probably the same, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm traveling a lot, but in Russia, yeah, especially like where I am right now, it's the north of Russia, so it's Siberia,
Yeah.
and we already have snow everywhere.
Wow. Okay. Yes. Well, you need to get your mushrooms or your oily fish or your lichen extract.
Well, I'm getting, I think, I'm eating a lot of oily fish every day, and also cod liver. I actually eat the liver itself.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's difficult to get in this country, but I like that.
Yeah, actually, in this country, it's pretty easy to get. Like it's everywhere.
Yeah, I think the Nordics, you can get it there as well. That place like Finland, Norway, and Sweden. But it's never been a thing in this country. I've never seen it anywhere for sale
In
or
most
otherwise.
countries, actually, yeah. Maybe because of the weather of the climate, they figured out, that we should eat cod liver. I don't know.
Yes, well, probably they probably figured it out, 1,000 years ago, and realised that people that ate cod liver didn't get sick, and people that didn't did. Probably. Yeah, I mean,
uh, the funny thing for me is, though, most of the people do not eat it. Like it's not something you will find in every fridge here. Not at all.
I imagine it's quite special. I mean, I like the taste of liver. I eat it all the time, so I wouldn't have a problem with it. But some people, for some reason, if you're not brought up on it, it seems to be a very difficult thing to get adults to eat if they haven't eaten it as a child, or they've had it at school and it was overcooked, this sort of thing. But properly cooked liver, and you only need a very small amount, don't you? It's only a tiny.
Yeah, and I mean here they sell them in cans, so you don't even do anything with it. I just put it on some like flaxseed cracker and eat it like that.
Yeah,
But I didn't grow up eating it. The first time I tried it was like a couple of years ago, actually, when I was 30.
yeah. So, well, yeah. I mean, is it what's the? Because I only had it once. I don't remember the flavour being particularly that strong, was it?
Not at all, especially if you get the one from Iceland. Like
All right, go. Yeah.
it's really nice. Like it doesn't have any. I don't know. It has fishy flavor, I guess, a little bit, but even then, not so much. It's kind of like goose liver pate. I think they
I
call
agree.
it the
Yeah.
thing.
But when you see the amount of goodness that's in it, again, it should make the flavour thing should become a bit sort of secondary. I'm always saying this to people: don't worry so much about flavour as long as it's palatable. You can always eat something a bit more savoury and tasty later. Do you know what I mean? But get your nutrients in. Sometimes I'll eat things that I don't particularly find mega flavoursome. And again, you can always add stuff, can't you? You can always stick a bit of chili sauce on it or whatever.
Exactly, like whenever people tell me, I don't like eating vegetables, I'm like, learn how to cook them. Use some dressing, use spices, herbs, anything will taste good.
Yeah, saute them in butter. I mean, butter and veg just makes a whole different flavour profile.
Have you tried spinach sauteed with coconut oil yet?
Yes, I have, and I've also tried it and broccoli as well, with tahini on top. The sesame seed.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, haven't
That's
tried that yet.
really amazing. The coconut oil thing, I find it a little bit coconutty. My wife likes it; doesn't have any issues. She often fries with it. So I like animal fat, so I will fry with pork fat or beef fat if I have it, because I like the flavour, but also I know the nutrient profile is good. Or I'll use extra virgin olive oil. I stay away from using the sunflower and rapeseed oils for frying because they don't respond to heat well.
Yeah, I mean, actually, what's your take on all the vegetable oils that seem to be like everywhere, like all these yellow liquids and clear boils?
Yeah, I mean, it's a real shame because when I was young, all the fish and chip shops here was beef dripping. That's the traditional way. It came over from Hungary, and it was always done in beef dripping. Now it's all done in either long life hydrogenated palm oil, which is terrible, full of trans fats, or rapeseed oil. And again, rapeseed oil it's a great oil in its raw state. However, there is now evidence that it can become slightly toxic on heating, and on multiple heating can become increasingly toxic because polyunsaturated fats are not stable at high temperature, whereas monounsaturated and saturated are. So I would always encourage, and the evidence is always emerging, it's not conclusive, but there is evidence pointing to too much polyunsaturated oil that's been heated can be inflammatory, whereas monounsaturated olive or saturated, they don't seem to trigger any inflammatory pathways. So I go for raw organic sunflower oil if I'm going to use it, and I don't fry with it. I just use it as a dressing or have it in raw state.
Okay. So you're okay with like if they're cold pressed and well preserved, and you use it without heat?
Yeah. In this country, cold pressed rapeseed oil is a big thing because we grow an awful lot of rape, like tons of it. It used to be turned back into the soil because there was no use for it. So I could go to any supermarket up the road from where I am now, and there'll be cold pressed rapeseed oil, very reasonably priced, like £2.50 a bottle. Okay. And that's it's an interesting flavour, but it's a great one if you're doing a mayonnaise. It's not too strong, or any sort of salad dressing. It's fine, and I might cook with it at a lower temperature.
Okay, because here, for example, we have a lot of sunflower oil. But of course, I think the bad thing about it is people usually cook on it, and
there is evidence that, but again, it's I haven't really done too much study on it, but it's the multiple times it's reheated. I think the evidence seems to point to when it starts to break down. So maybe using it once might be okay for an egg or something, but it's a multiple use in a chip fat fryer where there seems to be evidence that it starts to become inflammatory. But again, with all nutritional science, it's tricky because there's never enough being done at any given time because it's such a complex business.
Yeah, and also because I guess, well, first of all, it's a part of the whole like lifestyle, and overall diet. It's not just one thing. And then I guess there is not much like money in it to make a lot of studies.
No, there's not. There's no vested commercial interest in doing it because if you come up with a study that says heating sunflower oil is bad, there's a whole industry there that's going to suffer. So I do understand why there are restrictions. So I tend to look at as much evidence as I can. I give people just general neutral advice of like there may be evidence that using a lot of these polyunsaturated oils for cooking is not as good. Balance it out with using monounsaturated olive oil or animal fats. Frying with animal fats is brilliant because they're so stable. Saturated fat just doesn't really deteriorate in any way.
And
when cooking it.
Speaking about advice, so let's probably wrap it up, our podcast, our chat today, and give our listeners your like best practical advice. What do you think is the most important when it comes to nutritious eating, and what people, some kind of principles that people can apply daily to their cooking and eating?
Well, for me, I mean, I go for the foods as a mixture for me because some foods that don't really agree with me digestive-wise. I don't get on with pulses. Never have.
And yeah, I always felt bad about not including them in my diet because they're so nutritious.
But it's pointless. I just have digestive. It just makes it uncomfortable. So I've looked at other foods that have the same nutrient profile, which I use. That's why I use the algorithm like Check Your Food. And then I don't feel so bad about. I'm not going to eat pulses. I may eat them once a year or something. And there's some pulses are better than others. I can deal with chickpeas, for example, so I'll eat hummus. So find the foods that agree with you, but make sure you're checking that you're getting the full nutrient profile. So this thing of like sometimes it may be appropriate to eat a bit of cod liver, even though you don't necessarily think it's that tasty. Just forego that because you're getting a massive benefit from it, and then you can make up for it later by eating something you find really tasty. So it's what I call the astute use of ordinary food. You have to be astute about it. You have to look into it, educate yourself a little, and then go, okay, that food agrees with me digestive-wise. I don't eat wheat, for example, either, so I have digestive problems with that. But there are plenty of alternatives with a similar nutrient profile. So I find out which are the most nutritious foods that suit me, because it's not one diet fits all, because we all have different digestive systems and bacterial microbiomes, and we have different lifestyles and different pressures on our digestion. Because some weeks I can digest better than others. It just depends on what's going on in my life. So that was my summary, really. The astute use of ordinary food. Yeah, by all means, go for what you like, but balance it nutrient dense foods, and always check what agrees with you, because you'll know, you're in charge of your own body. You'll know whether something makes you bloat or uncomfortable or just doesn't really energize you. And build your diet that way, and use something like Check Your Food. There are other options out there to build, the sort of power diet that suits you and your lifestyle. And experiment. My whole life's an experiment. I mean, I'll spend weeks. I ate glucoman noodles last night as an experiment, because I thought, I wonder what pure soluble fibre is going to do to my digestion. I had no idea, because if I do something like raw garlic, I'll literally be in pain for 24 hours. So I tried it, and I've got away with it so far. But I'm just experimenting all the time because it's fun, and you get more and more adept at it. And so when I'm shopping, I'll be like, I'll see a new ingredient, go, I reckon that protein. I'll look it up, and I'll build that into my diet, and go from there. But basically, in this country, I think 75% of people eat the same thing for lunch every day. Same thing for breakfast and lunch every day. It's like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, and it's either the same thing or the same ingredients.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally. I mean, I watch them do it in the office. Some of my colleagues, it's the same thing year in, year out. It's like, give yourself a bit of variety. I mean, you go into your average supermarket, there's so much variety in there, and go from there. That would be my advice.
Yeah, great advice. And about variety, I always recommend, like, to my clients too, like, not just include different kinds of foods, groups of foods, but also in each group just try different foods. Like, if you want to have a vegetable, like, try different vegetables every time you go, or every other time. Different meat, different, like, bird or different fish.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, I never used to eat spinach. I never used to eat tinned fish. There's loads of things I didn't used to eat. And actually, I discovered that I quite liked, and I mix it up and make different dishes with them, and it's just a great fun. It's a great journey as you go along what I call the food journey. It just gets more and more, to me, gets more and more exciting, because each day you're empowering your body and your body's defenses. You're empowering your health for the long term, for the whole of your life, really.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I'm the same. Like, every day I do the experiments and trying to make my meal plan even better, so it's like hits every nutrition target I'm aware
Exactly.
of.
Yes.
So yeah, thank you, Matt, for sharing, all your knowledge, all your wisdom, giving such a great advice to people trying to eat healthier and be healthier. The last thing, like, where should people follow you, follow your work, go to find out more about your research and what you and your companies are up to?
Yeah, I mean, the checkyourfood.com is the main site for consumers. Checkyourfoodgroup.com is the commercial site that covers the food producers and food, health professionals as well. You can follow us on Twitter at Check Your Foods, Facebook, etc., Instagram. I don't do a lot of tweeting or posting at the minute, because I'm still building up my sort of portfolio before I put myself out there. And also, I don't like to be seen as giving too much advice. I like people to make their own minds up when they interact with the information. So I'll do a talk like this or whatever, an interview like this. But I'm getting there. I'll start. I'll tell you what, I think I've ever tweeted. I think I've tweeted once. But we have a social media department that takes care of all that. So the messaging is always going out there: recipes, advice. We'll do like the health benefits of pheasant. We'll do all kinds of stuff is going out there. And if you go to the site, you can see all the Instagram, Facebook, Twitter feeds.
Okay. Yeah, and I think your book also, I loved it. I read it, The Genius of Foods. It's amazing. You wrap in a story like all our nutrition needs and how we need, certain things for certain functions. And yeah, I loved it.
Yes, so that's available on Amazon, The Genius of Ordinary Food. Apparently, it's not available on Amazon where you are, is it? Was it anyone?
Yeah, I mean, the ebook wasn't available on Amazon, like, and as far as shipping it all the way here, like, I'm not never in the same place, so I'm not like, damn.
I'm quite happy to. Maybe people could buy it if they want, but if they want to just get in touch with support, Check Your Food, well, we can send them a free copy.
Yeah, I mean, you
Quite
support
that.
team was really amazing. It gave me the book, and I loved it. You can even read it with your kids and start educating.
Yeah, I'm happy to. If people want it, just email, and I'll send you. We'll send you a free electronic copy, and you can redistribute that as you want.
Thank you. But yeah, thank you, Matt, again for all your wisdom and all your work. It's amazing. I think people like you will really move forward our food system into the right direction, where people not just enjoy their foods, the flavors, but also enjoy the health benefits of it. So thank you.
Yes, very much so. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving me your time, and it was great to chat.
Yeah, thank you. It was my pleasure.